Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Break with Christine. Happy Thursday. Today I am interviewing my good friend Sol. She is here in Miami and she's got a lot going on, so I'm excited to chat with her. She's actually one of my, hi Ava. She's actually one of my writing buddies. She's part of the accountability group. Oops, I switched it around. She's part of the accountability group that I'm in to write. There she is. Hello.
Hello.
Happy.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Good. Just living the quarantine dream over here.
Oh yeah, it's a good time. Well, that's why I thought I would start this lunchtime coffee break series. I wanted to give small businesses visibility that are run by women. So I'm starting with my favorite people that I know, and then going to open it up. Oh, hi, Sarah. So yeah, thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I was explaining right before you came on that you're part of my accountability group, the three of us, with writing. So, but I'll let you talk. Why don't you talk about your journey to entrepreneurship and about you and what you do?
Oh man. Mine was like, I don't even know if mine was like on purpose. I think most people start entrepreneurship and they're like, this is what I want to do. But mine was actually kind of an accident. And then I
That's
realized like,
okay. You're here.
yeah, and then yeah, I'm so grateful for it, right? I guess nothing really is an accident. But um for me, I'm gonna try to narrow down this story because it's a really long story.
I'll say
But
we
I
got
had
30
done
minutes.
yeah, we got 30 minutes. Great. So I had done a speaking presentation at a church that I was volunteering at. And I just wanted to help people out. I just felt that I wanted to give some inspiration to the people that were there. It was like a soup kitchen type of thing. And
Hmm.
I did that every single Friday, and every single Friday they had a guest speaker. And one day I signed up to speak, and I gave a presentation, and I posted on Facebook like, "Oh, I just did this like presentation at this church that I volunteer for," and a friend of mine, she had just won like Miss Arab USA, and she was speaking all over. She knew all these organizations, and she's like, "Hey, there's this organization that needs speakers. Would you be willing to speak?" I was like, "No, no, no, I'm not a speaker. I just spoke, I just felt like doing something nice for these people." And she's like, "No, no, 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 like we really need people. I think you would be good for it." I knew her from acting class, so she knew that I didn't necessarily have stage fright. So I signed up with this organization and immediately like just started speaking, from, they assigned you a coach, and I was speaking left and right at schools, at community centers, colleges, like to a young audience. And
Hmm.
I was pretty young myself at the time. And so that was that, and it was great, and I loved it. And a year later, I moved to the Bahamas. And in the Bahamas, I couldn't speak anymore. And I couldn't do the work that I was doing. I was acting and modeling at the time to supplement my speaking income. And I decided that maybe an online business, I didn't have a work visa. So I decided an online
Hmm.
business would probably be the best route. I had attended like this Gabrielle Bernstein Spirit Junkie Masterclass, and I had been contemplating a business. But when I moved, and not being able to work out there, I had to get really creative. So that's how that started, and I actually left it. So I had some initial success. I was
Hmm.
very lucky, and moved back to the States.
What were you
And
doing when you did that?
when I did what? Which one?
When you started the online business in the Bahamas?
Coaching.
What
Oh, coaching.
coaching?
Sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
I started coaching. I started
Hmm.
live coaching practice. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that. So yeah, life coaching, one-on-one coaching, and it went well. I have some crazy stories about that, but overall, it generated income. Let me just put it that way. It didn't
Yeah.
necessarily always go well, but it generated income, which is what I wanted. Then I left. I left the coaching field when I moved back to take a job at a news station because I thought like, oh, I don't know if the coaching thing is really sustainable, and I don't know if it's really for me. And I left it, and it always kept calling me back. It was always like it was always, you know, in the background of my mind saying like, you need to be out there and helping people and being a service and go back to the coaching business. Eventually I moved to Miami, and here we are.
And what are you doing now? Tell everybody.
So now, still the coaching. I'm doing one-on-one coaching, as you know, writing a book, which has been challenging,
Yes.
but also very helpful. Right? Do you feel that it's helped you in your business and get more clear and give you
Absolutely.
like
Help
a
me with healing, with my business. Um, yeah, definitely more clarity for sure.
yeah, that's kind of how I feel. A lot of clarity, a lot more healing, or like areas that I was stumped on. I'm like, oh, I really need to work on this. So
Hmm.
yeah, so writing the book, just relaunched my YouTube channel. So I had a YouTube channel when I was in the Bahamas,
Hmm.
and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like haphazardly throwing videos on there. And so relaunched it, older, wiser,
Yeah.
with a better approach, which has been amazing. And working on a course.
Oh, I didn't
So
know about that.
yeah, that's kind of new. It's new, but that's kind of something more of next year's project, but
Okay.
or at least the end of the year. But right
Hmm.
now, just coaching and YouTube alone is a beast. You know,
Hmm.
you do
Yeah.
all the
Takes a lot
SEO.
of
So
time and yeah. So when you finish your book, which you're almost done, as to
yeah,
how I understand it,
yeah.
do you also plan to use the book as a platform to go back to speaking? I know that's one of my goals is to use it to get speaking engagements, but I wasn't sure if that was one of your goals with it.
Definitely. I think obviously when you write a book, it makes you more of an authority, and people are like, you wrote a book on this subject, you know, you must know a
She
thing or
knows what she's
two.
talking about. Yeah.
So yeah,
Good.
definitely. And I think it's been a combination of what we've talked about in our book club.
Hmm.
It's been a combination of, yes, I want it to, you know, elevate me and elevate my status as a coach. I've always wanted to be an author. Ever
Hmm.
since I was little, I used to write like these romance novels when I was like 9. Like, I always said I was going to be an author. You know, I just never thought it would be a
Yeah.
self-help author.
Uh-huh.
So I've always wanted to write a book. So that's kind of like checking that off the before I die list. Um,
Yes.
Taking me to that next level, and then as we've mentioned in the book club, also just kind of leaving your legacy, leaving your mark. Like, hey, I was here in this world and I existed, and this is what I contribute. This is my contribution to the world, you
Hmm.
know? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a combination of different
Yeah.
things.
Just so everybody knows, so Sol and I meet with another good friend, Candace. She'll be popping on here at the end of June. But we, besides keeping each other accountable with the book club that we sit and write together, it used to be in person, but then when Corona hit, we stopped and took a break and we do it on Zoom now. So we literally sit there and write on Zoom in silence for a couple of hours. But we also share about what we are writing about that day or just what we learned while we were writing. So it's also a time to share and grow and just see, like, check in with each other. So I definitely recommend any kind of accountability that you can, whether it's with a coach or, a group of friends that are all working towards a similar goal. So I've been grateful for the last few months for the time. Well, gosh, it's been more than a few months, but anyway, we're almost there. So So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about, like, do you have a mission statement for your business, or what kind of people do you coach? What area do you work in?
So, yes. So my main target audience are people who are ready and wanting to live a richer, more fuller life and want to pursue their purpose. So I don't necessarily, like, I'm not a business coach or anything like that. I fall more into the life coaching category,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely helping people rewrite their narratives, which is something that I learned from writing my book. It's
Mm.
just like we sometimes think that the past is kind of like set in stone, but the past can be very fluid and flexible. It just depends on your perspective. So, rewrite your narrative and help you, forge a new path in which you live your purpose. And typically, your purpose, or the people that I want to serve, their purpose is some kind of contribution to the world. And it's
Mm.
something where you become part of the collective, and kind of stop separating yourself from everyone else, and it can be very healing in so many ways. And you and I have discussed some of our pasts, and how crazy things have been. And I really think that having a purpose and having a goal has helped me grow as a person. And that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what I help others with, live a fuller, more meaningful life, pursuing your purpose and helping you with the mindset and the action steps of going from point A to point B in
Mm-hmm.
your life. So, yeah.
That's great. I feel like that's very unique. Like, there's a lot of coaches out there these days, but at least the way that you word it, and probably the program or the system that you have, is pretty unique, that you created from your own experience. So that's
Yeah.
good. How has, or well, first let me ask, what's your favorite part about your business?
Oh man. I have so many, because this is what I honestly believe, that when you start your own business, it's because you want to do your own thing. You want to do it the way you want to do it. You're not
Yes.
forced into anything. So I think every part of the business is my favorite part. I guess I would say there are some things that kind of suck, like
Finances.
like the technology part,
Yeah.
finances. Excuse me, but hold on one second. But um, I think helping people make those shifts in perspectives, when you see that people have those breakthroughs because of
Mm-hmm.
something you said, and
Yeah.
those breakthroughs are going to change their lives because they change the way they look at things. And when you change the way you look at things, you alter your reality, the way you've been living, the way you've been operating. So even if it's like a small thing in a coaching call, um, but for the most part, I love everything. Some things can be really time consuming and draining about business, but I love creating videos. I'm obsessed with creating videos. But mainly, if I had to pick one thing, it's that definitely those shifts in perspective and helping people see things from a different angle. And that angle is going to be like a more empowering
Mm-hmm.
angle. And then now you have like this beautiful launching pad for you to like be more free and just live fuller.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, seeing your clients succeed, just not like, it's not an ego thing, but like seeing that you really helped somebody just feels so amazing, and um, also reassures that like what we're doing is
Hmm.
working. So
That
that's
you're on the
great.
right path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And they're like big shifts. Like this can change someone's lives, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's a collaborative effort. I always tell my clients, like, really, it's really not me.
No,
It's
they have to
it's
do the
you.
work.
You did it.
Yeah.
I could only, you could give them all the tools and and teach them how to use them, but you have to use the
Mm-hmm.
tool in order for it to
Mm-hmm.
work. So when you see that you played a role in them doing that, it's kind of like oh, like this is so rewarding. This is worth, all of those late nights or early mornings. And,
Mm-hmm.
it just, there is a payment, like a financial payment, but that's more of your most like rewarding
Oh, for
payment of
sure.
all.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Um, how has COVID affected your business?
Um, it's been I hate saying this because I know a lot of people had trouble with COVID and it was like a hard time for them. I just did a YouTube video on embracing uncertainty after quarantine. Like I just released that
Mm-hmm.
on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people were writing to me and saying, like my grandma died, or,
Mm.
this really has impacted me in a negative way. So in a sense, in the sense it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh, it was a blessing, but in my case it truly was. um I initially lost some clients. Some people are like, I lost my job, I can no longer afford this, or I just kind of have to be
Mm-hmm.
more mindful of my finances, which kind of sucked in the beginning. Some
Mm-hmm.
people were able to come back and were like, actually it didn't really impact me the way I thought it was. But it actually opened the door for me to like slow down a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
and also really think about what really matters. I think for a lot of us who weren't really directly impacted in a very negative way, we had the time out to think and recap on like what have we been doing in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then, part of what I talked about in my video was we realized how life and moments are so fleeting and how anything can be taken away from us at any given moment. Like it's gone. It
Mm-hmm.
was here yesterday and it's gone today. That's it. No more. And we are going back to normal, but I think we all had to sit and like doubt and say, are we going back to normal? Is there going to be a normal? And
Mm-hmm.
then you start thinking about how you've been living your life, and did you live to the full? Like if this was it, and say you were like, we're all going to live our lives from these, these are our pods. Did you really fully live your life? Or say it was even
Mm.
worse, like, hey, you're going to lose your life to a virus, God forbid. And but did you really live? Did you live?
Mm.
Did you matter? Did you do what you wanted to do? Did you live, again, back to my business and what I do? Did you live that full life? And this is what I teach people. And I still had that realization, like, no, I have to go bigger and I have to go higher. And so it impacted me in that sense of that shift in perspective of like, have I really been doing what I really want to do? Have I really
Mm-hmm.
been showing up the way I would like to show up? Because this
Mm-hmm.
moment, even if this virus isn't the end of us all, there will be a day, and I don't want to sound, depressing, but there will be a day where that is your end. Like that's guaranteed. And
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know when that's going to be, just the same way we didn't know that this virus was going to come and change our lives. And before you know it, it's done. And did you live? Or were you controlled by fears? Or were you controlled by, I can't do that? It's like, did you? That's almost like irrelevant. Whether you can do it, whether you can succeed, whether you're going to be, that's irrelevant to the question. The question is, did you live?
Mm.
And that was just kind of something that I was pondering. Like, it doesn't matter if I was going to be successful or if I was going to make it. That is aside from the point. Did I go out there and show up the way that I wanted to show up?
Mm-hmm.
Whether I was successful or not, whether, I was going to make it, or I was going to make X amount of money, or have X amount of clients, or have X amount of followers, whatever. Like, that's not what the question is. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was like, okay, I got to really rethink about what I want to do and how I want to show up, and everything, anything that's fear-based is irrelevant. So it changed my business in the sense where now I really feel where I want to take this, and now I really feel even more courage than before to go there. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, which has
That's
helped me in
great.
turn help the clients, that I do have. So that's kind of the impact that it had on me, more
Mm-hmm.
mindset wise.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I think I was a little bit of the opposite in that I honestly didn't take that much time. I took some days, but not that much time to like, I reflected, but it was more like a time of learning. So I took tons of courses, learned new skills, applied them to my
Hmm.
business. I should have taken more reflection time, I think, but I probably was using things to distract myself and like stay busy, as opposed to just like sit with what was going on. But
Yeah.
I could have done a little bit more of that. But
I,
definitely, I think it was probably, yeah, fear based, like, because like I too lost clients, the same thing, and I was worried about money. And so I was like, let me get more skills so I can sell myself again and, or work in new areas. So,
I did the same. I think, okay, I was really busy. Like when this first happened, I was super busy. Everybody was going online
hmm
and people, I was very busy. And then I said, you know what? I was a little bit envious of everyone's time off. I was like, I took 2 weeks off and I said, I'm not working for 2 weeks. I did bare
wow.
minimum stuff. And I
hmm
wanted to relax and I wanted to read and I wanted to sit in my bathtub and soak and relax and I wanted to be bored. I was like, I don't know when
That's
I'll
good
have this
though.
chance again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did take the time to just be
hmm
bored like everyone else and hang out on my balcony or whatever it is people were doing. So I did take the time.
hmm
And in that time, I did do a lot of reflection. And after that, I did start working and I did the same. I was like, you know what? It's time to level up my skills. It's time to um, take some courses. So I did a little bit of both, but I definitely
Okay.
decided I need to rest and I have been overworked and I'm like jealous how everyone's at home just watching TV, for 3 days straight. And I kind of want
Yeah,
that. So I did that and
that's good.
that's when all of this came through.
I was gonna say, don't get
So
me wrong, I definitely did my share of TV watching and Netflix watching, like series. But I did, I still had the virtual assistant clients, so I didn't want to lose
mhm.
them too. So I did a little bit of both. But um, how do you deal? So obviously, COVID has been a big example of how there's lots of ups and downs within entrepreneurship. So I think I know your answer, but can you share a little bit about how you deal with the ups and downs that come with running your own business?
Oh man, it is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I mean, I never sugarcoat it and be like, it's a roller coaster. It really, really is. And if it's not COVID, it's, another thing, or it's always like
hmm
one thing or another. And I
Like
don't
one
know that
minute
I
you're
have.
like, I got a new client, and then the next minute you're like someone says no to you, and you're like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster, right? Like I think we were talking about this in the beginning of this year, how we started off this year feeling a certain way, and then we got
Yeah.
blindsided by a few things, and then we were like, wait, everything was going so great. What happened? But then another
Yes.
great thing happens, and
hmm
then another thing falls apart.
hmm
Um, but maybe you will know what I'm going to say because this is something we talked about in the beginning of this year before COVID when other things were falling apart.
hmm
And I don't really have a practical answer for this. It's more of like a spiritual answer. And it's like when these things happen, it's the time to really exercise your faith
hmm
and really lean on your faith and trust that things are happening the way they should and that life is rigged in your favor and and I don't ever believe that anything is ever doom and gloom. I always think that there's an opposite side of the coin to that
hmm
that's more empowering.
hmm
But for me it was just living on faith, which is what I've been doing. And again, not that I'm sitting here promoting my YouTube channel, but I did talk about this earlier in my YouTube channel. And it was saying, because it was talking about embracing uncertainty. And I did talk about that. Nothing in this life is certain, and it never was certain. And this pandemic didn't make life uncertain. Things were always uncertain, but we were living on faith, And I talked about how, you've flown on an airplane knowing that, these plane, accidents and crashes happen all the time. You've
Mm.
crossed the street, assuming that the cars were going to obey, their red light, knowing that people get run over all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so
Yeah.
many things that we do that we just live on faith, even though there's so many negativity pointing to like doom and gloom and you're going to die, and and you possibly could die at any moment, but but you live on faith. Like, we know how to live on faith. You just live on faith and you trust it. There are certain circumstances that sometimes like test your faith, but that's when you
For sure.
exercise it even deeper and know that, what, everything is happening as it should. And this, I can only do my best and I only have control over myself.
Yeah.
So, and that's it. Like, you don't have control. I don't have control of the virus. I don't have control of, the people outside. I don't have control of you. I don't have control of anything. I can only control myself. And in reality, it's very empowering belief, because you realize like you relinquish trying to control everything else and just focus on the only thing you really do have control of, and it's your perspective and your mindset and your actions and who you are and how you're going to approach the situation, and understand and trust that you will always make the best decision to get you to a place where you want to be, regardless of where that is. So
Yeah. I really like that answer. I know you and I both had a rough start to the year for many reasons before COVID hit. And then it was like,
no,
I give up. No, but no, we don't give up. But felt like that a few days.
no.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just starting out as an entrepreneur? Like, what's one thing besides having the faith, but
Yeah.
one tip that you would give?
I think it would be always remember why you started in the first place. I think
Mm,
that we tend to we lose, so you can get lost in why you started. I definitely have. I know that for sure. There's been times um, where I got too focused on the numbers, or I got too focused
hmm
on algorithms, and then I had to come back and say, but so why did you really start this for the numbers and the algorithms, or did you start this because you wanted to serve, you know?
hmm
And when I
hmm
remember that, I remember like what my true reason is, and then I can operate from the heart rather than ego or anything
mm,
else around you, which is the stuff that brings us down, you know?
hmm
It's the
hmm
ego stuff that it's like, oh, I didn't get the client that I wanted, or I don't have the money, or I don't, and it's like, but is that why? I mean, obviously we're in business to make money as well and help people, but if I remember, the core of why I started was I I was like, you know, younger in my 20s, and I really genuinely wanted to help other people. And I felt
hmm
like I couldn't hoard all of this knowledge.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you. Yeah, I couldn't hoard this knowledge. I felt like I learned so much, I've been through so much, and I've overcome so much, and I've grown so much. And I can't possibly withhold that knowledge from the world. From my own perspective, I know there's a million other life coaches in this world, and there's, the Tony Robbins and the Gabrielle Bernsteins, but I still have my own version of that, and I think I
hmm
almost owe it to the world. It's like my social responsibility to put it out there.
hmm
So when I remember why I started, everything else just becomes very insignificant.
hmm Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is minor, compared to my big dream of actually helping someone change their lives. And that's it, regardless of the numbers, regardless of the money, regardless of the followers, regardless of, whether I'm getting the attention. All I promised is that I was going to show up. That's all I promised,
Yep. hmm
and that's all I could really do in the best way that I can. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I have one last question. What's your favorite hot drink or coffee or tea or
Tea, definitely tea. I don't drink coffee, which is weird because I know this is like coffee and I'm drinking water. Wasn't this like
That's
a
okay. No, I am too. I've already
I
had two
don't even
coffees today. So I was up early doing a workshop. So I was like, okay, no more coffee.
No, I love
You like
green
tea.
tea. I
Okay.
like tea. Green tea. I mean, all kinds. I have a cupboard full of tea. I love chamomile. I mean, you name it. There's like a kombucha tea, like that's actually
Oh,
hot.
yes. Yes, I've had
Amazing. Have you
it.
tried it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
It is good.
So I think any kind of tea. I don't really drink black tea. That's the only thing I don't think I have, but
Okay.
tea for sure.
Nice. Well, tell everybody where people can find you.
So you can find me at anywhere, any platform, Sol Ballard, SolBallard. So YouTube, youtube.com/Sol Ballard, Twitter, .com/Sol Ballard, Instagram/Sol Ballard.
I think I spelled
Um,
your name wrong. You don't have two
did
L's
you?
in your last name?
No, I did. Did I
B-A-L.
not mention my L? Yeah, Ballard.
Okay, then
LL.
I
I say it
didn't.
really
Okay.
fast. No. Yeah, you know how to spell my name. So yeah, and if you guys want to go and support my relaunch of YouTube, feel free to. I have about 3 videos that are new, and then I have some old ones that are actually pretty good as well. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's what I have.
Well,
Thanks for having me, Christine.
yeah, thanks so much for your time and good to see you as always. And I hope you have a wonderful day
You
and
too.
I'll see you soon.
You too.
Okay,
See you
thanks.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.